everybody, it is cold outside. It's the 15th of February 2021, and I'm in Gary, Indiana. Stay tuned and we'll talk about what's going on. Hey everybody, this is Rick, also known as Duke City Double Dog. Today is the 15th of February 2021, as I said before. I'm in Gary, Indiana. The light's a little dim in here, and I did it for a reason, because I wanted you to be able to see the windows, and let me show you. We're pretty much covered with snow. I'm going to talk a little bit about this load. Like I said, I'm in Gary, Indiana. This was not where I planned on shutting down. I planned on making it to my fuel stop in Utica, Illinois, which is about 90 miles west of here. I spent the night in Brookville, Pennsylvania, and left there about 7:45 this morning Eastern Standard Time, and my goal was to make it 555 miles to my fuel stop in Utica, as I mentioned. And it wasn't too bad. It started out, there was a little bit of snow. They had a restriction in Pennsylvania at the time, right lane only for commercial vehicles and 45 miles an hour at the most. So we did that for about 55 miles. We weren't that far from the Ohio border. Got into Ohio and got on the turnpike. When we got on the turnpike, they really did well on the turnpike. Ohio did, and Indiana as well. So as you went through the turnpike and you went through the toll road, the roads were pretty good. I mean, they were fair. They were pretty dry. It was cold out, so you had to be careful still. But they were cleared, and it looked like we were going to make it in plenty of time to where I wanted to stop, which was our fuel stop. And then as soon as we got off of Interstate 80, the toll road here in Indiana, there's about 15 miles of road between the toll road, give or take 15 miles, and Illinois. And it looked like the roads hadn't been touched very much. There were about 5 snowplow trucks, Indiana DOT snowplow trucks on the side of the road waiting to start plowing or whatever. I don't know what they were waiting for, but there was a lot of traffic, and the snow started coming down harder. And I used my GPS. I used a voice activated for GPS on my Garmin, and said, "Hey, find me the closest truck stop coming up," and it did. And I was able to get into here and get parked. Just looking around, and I'll tell you why in a second. So we shut down here. We sent a message into operations and to my asset manager saying, "Hey, we're shut down for the night. We're not going anywhere. We got 555 miles to our delivery stop tomorrow. It's due anytime during the day tomorrow, and we'll see whether it's something we can do. If we can do it, we'll do it. If we can't, then you'll have to adjust the appointment, and we'll know in the morning once all this sort of goes by. Hopefully it clears up. This winter storm watch is supposed to end at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, so we won't plan on getting running any earlier than that. Like I said, we have 555 miles. If the roads are good, and if we can, and they're dry, we should be able to make that tomorrow. That's an if. So we would have been able to make it for sure if those were the cases, if everything was dry and everything, if we would have made it to our fuel stop. But 555 miles in this kind of weather, and it can be a little tough. So we'll see what we can do. If we don't make it, we don't make it. We're going to be safe. I mean, if we're not smart and we get in an accident or something, then we're definitely not going to make it. So better safe than sorry. Most carriers have a policy that says if you don't feel safe or you need to shut it down, shut it down. Now, that said, some carriers are more serious about it than others, and you're going to get some customer service reps and some driver managers and some managers sometimes that are going to try to push you, say, hey, can't you get it just a little bit farther? and you just have to say no. I mean, it's you. I mean, one of the things about Crete that I like, and I've mentioned this before, is from the top down, from the chairman of the board to the chief executive officer to the president of Crete and Shaffer. They say the same thing. Nobody is going to second guess you at the corporate level if you decide to shut it down for safety, and that's exactly what I decided to do. You can see the snow mountain. My front windshield is just full of snow. So we're done for the night. We're gonna relax, watch some TV. Now, this is where trying to stay warm is going to be key, and we're waiting for the temperature to drop about 3 more degrees, and then we can idle this engine if we need to through the night. It's important when you get in this cold that you don't get gelled fuel. Most places put additives in the fuel nowadays. At least most of the places that Crete sends us already have the additive in there, the anti-gel additive. When I was with Stevens, they used to give us cases of it to use, and one bottle usually will treat 150, 250 gallons, depending on the size of the bottle, 250 gallons of fuel, and it just keeps it from gelling up. And that's diesel fuel acts differently than gasoline. Diesel fuel will gel up, and then it clogs up your fuel your fuel lines and everything, and the engine doesn't get any fuel. So you got to worry about that. That said, even though this is the first year, I guess, that Crete's not using gel fuel additives, there was still some available, and they gave me some when I was down in Tennessee. So I went ahead out here and put some in just to be on the safe side. And like I said, I'll run the engine here in a little bit and get it rolling and get it moving around a little bit. There's a lot of things that people say to do when you're worried about the gel additive, and that's worrying about not gelling fuel. And that is, if you're going to be out and stuff like this, try to have full tanks, because it's harder for it to gel, supposedly. Again, this is what I was told, so I haven't done the research on it. But supposedly it's harder for it to gel, and then you use the additive if you need to, or you have pre-treated fuel like we usually do. So that's going to be sort of the case. We are headed with this load to Crete, Nebraska. We picked it up in Pennsylvania, and after we did our 34, I had something happen that one of the things that people dread, and I lost my wallet a few days ago, and because of that I had to sit still in Tennessee for an added 2 days, which cost me some money. Not the fact that they were charging me to sit there, but because I wasn't able to run. And I was able to get a duplicate of my license, temporary. That was a piece of cake. I ordered a new one. I had to cancel all my credit cards and that kind of stuff. Get a new fuel card. Luckily, I was at the yard, so getting a new fuel card wasn't an issue. But I needed to wait to get a replacement debit card, because I couldn't go out on the road and have no access to money. So I had to wait there 2 days, and USAA sent me a replacement card. Took longer than it used to with them, but that seems to be the standard now. Even Amazon, next day shipping isn't next day like it used to be with Prime. So in most cases it's not. So anyway, it is what it is, but it's something that I had to go through. I had to go through, and hopefully you don't ever have to. That said, one thing that I learned, and I usually do this, is I usually don't, sorry, I'm looking around because I've got one parking space next to me that's open, and in this weather I'm a little worried about it. I parked sort of in the middle where it was easy to get into here, because the parking lot, it has so much snow. I'll come back to what I was talking about in a second. It has so much snow in it, it's really hard to maneuver your truck, because you're really going over these like little hills and stuff of snow, and so the truck wants to bounce back and forth, or it wants to lurch on you, and because of that it's hard to get in and out, and people are going to get hit tonight. They are, and I'm just hoping I'm not one of them. So that's just the way it goes. So and that's the benefit of shutting down early, when you know it's not a good idea to go on, because I could have tried to go farther, but what happens if I couldn't go any farther, and then I got to a place where there was no place to stop? So better safe than sorry, and that's where it came from. Anyway, I was talking about cards, debit cards and stuff. I have a few different accounts that I use at different banks, and I have different cards for those. And usually I don't keep those all in that wallet. I usually keep them somewhere else in my truck. And when I went on my home time last time, I put them all in there because I was going to go do some shopping for different stuff, and I forgot to take them out. So instead of me having access that way and just canceling the one, I had to cancel all of them, and then I didn't have any access to funds. So in this case, if you have multiple credit cards or whatever, just keep one on you. Don't put all of them in that wallet, because it would have been much easier, and I could have rolled right away, because the replacement license came, instantaneously. As soon as I applied for a duplicate, they sent me an email with the temporary automatically. And if I would have had the other cards that I could have got money out of, I could have just canceled that one and picked it up, had them send it to my house and pick it up next time I got there. So lesson learned, and that's sort of the way it goes. I hope you guys are staying safe. It's bitterly cold around this country. I've, in the last couple weeks, I've been, up in Wisconsin, where the wind chills were in the minus 17, well, minus 33, and the actual temperature was minus 17 up in Black River Falls, and now it's going to be in the single digits here in Gary, Indiana tonight. The truck will let me idle it once it hits 15 degrees. I can idle it and let it idle through the night if I need to stay warm, if my bunk heater doesn't keep it warm enough in here, and that may be the case what we need to do tonight. There's bitter cold other places. I know my buddy Mark's up in New England, up around New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, up there. Pennsylvania's got, they should have just instituted. They have an empty commercial vehicle ban in effect on roadways up there right now. New Jersey did it earlier today. So finding a place and sitting still goes back to the importance of also having provisions on your truck. I have a freezer on here, a refrigerator freezer, and I have the refrigerator that's built in on here. Plus I have a bunch of dry goods. I have water, I have tea, I have all sorts of stuff like that. So making sure and having that's really important, because if you get stuck, luckily I'm at a truck stop. I'm at a TA right here. I was able to go in, use the facilities, grab something to eat, and come out here, so I didn't have to eat anything off my truck yet. But if I would have stopped at a rest area or something and I was stuck there for a couple days, you need to have food and you need to have water. So making sure you have all that, and also making sure you have cold weather gear. That's important too. So you live and you learn. So I hope you guys stay safe. If you're down there in Texas area, they're getting bombarded. They're not used to that. They had that big wreck a couple weeks ago, where there were multiple fatalities, and that was just with some frozen roads and people going too fast for conditions, and they ended up getting some people killed, and like I think it was a 100-car pileup or something like that, and 6 to 8 people passed away in that, and that's rough. But right now they're fighting. I know in Dallas, the high today was somewhere around 6 to 8 degrees, or at least that was the temperature when I checked it, and the wind chills were in the minus 10 and below, and it was minus 7 degrees, I believe, in Amarillo, and they're just socked in. They just don't know what to do. They're just not used to handling it. So good luck to them down there. Stay safe. Don't drive if you're not used to it, and don't drive if you don't need to. So anyway, we will talk to you later. I hope you guys have a great one. Again, as I always said, stay safe. God bless. This is Rick, also known as Duke City Double Dog. I am hunkered down in Gary, Indiana, staying out of the snow and the slick roads, and I'm driving for Crete Carrier Corporation. You guys have a great one, and I will talk to you later.